Miss Poppy Summers was accustomed to finding odd, unwanted objects tangled in her fishing nets. Clumps of seaweed, discarded rum bottles, even the occasional clay pipe. But until that sun-soaked June morning, she had never, in the course of all her 23 years, had the misfortune of catching a man. A strapping, half-dressed, unconscious man at that. Perched on the seat of her small rowboat several yards offshore, she raised a hand to her forehead and shielded her eyes from the glare in order to have a proper look at him. He was sprawled face down on the beach, his head turned to one side, long legs akimbo in the frothy lapping waves. Raven hair covered his eyes, and sand salted the dark stubble along his jaw. Beneath the remains of his shirt, little more than a few scraps of lawn, he had the broad shoulders of a swimmer and the trim waist of a boxer. His trousers were plastered to thick thighs, and his bare feet were nearly the size of oar blades. Zoons! He must have stumbled out of the surf and collapsed on the beach. Her beach. To make matters worse, one corner of the net that she'd strategically placed in the deepest part of the cove was now wrapped around his left ankle, all but dashing her hopes for a good day's catch. Disappointment sank onto her chest like a rusty anchor. The only time Papa smiled lately was when Poppy came home with news of a bountiful haul. But there'd been precious little cause for celebration lately. A devastating uptick in codworm meant a third of the fish she caught weren't fit to eat, and the healthy ones tended to be younger, smaller fish that didn't bring nearly as good a price. She'd weathered tough seasons before, but this summer was different. Her poor father rarely left his bed since taking ill over the winter, and her brother, Dane, had been spending more time in London of late. Perhaps that was for the best, though, since he had an infuriating habit of gambling away the meagre earnings from the family's business, a business that she was now single-handedly trying to keep afloat.